The background is not as cool.
Yeah.
But at least
we can match your vibe.
Oh,
There we
perfect.
go.
Perfect. This is amazing. So wait, let me zoom in just a bit so it's easier. This is better. Perfect.
I mean, let's start with an intro for anyone who doesn't know you.
Awesome. So my name is Dr. Rushindra Sinha. I'm a doctor by profession and a gamer by passion, and I'm the founder and CEO of Global Esports. It's funny, I used to say CEO and founder, but now I've realized I have a lot of learning to do as CEO, so now the CEO can be here.
And you said you're in Mumbai right now, right?
Yes, I'm in Mumbai right now. I just got back from Seoul, so I'm traveling between Mumbai and Seoul because our VCT headquarters is in Seoul.
Awesome.
Oh, well, thanks for taking the time. I know what time is it there?
It's not too late. It's like 9:30 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. Well, thanks for joining us. It's great to meet. It's funny, I say something similar. I'm not a medical doctor, but a neuroscientist by trade.
Oh,
so
wow.
like people ask me kind of whatever, like, oh, I'm a neuroscientist by trade, but and then go because they usually
Nice.
then they're like, why in the world do you have the job that you have? If you are a neuroscientist,
Yeah.
what in the world are you doing in esports?
Yeah.
So maybe that would be a great segue into, I'm sure you have a very interesting origin story as well of like, why did you want to be a medical doctor, and then why, pivot from that into esports?
So I'll tell you my story kind of in parallel. I started playing video games when I was 3 years old, but that was because I had access back in 1993 to a PC only because my parents at their hospital, they had this computer that they had for patient data entry. So while they were busy with their patients being doctors, I was on the computer just playing video games, and I would end up fighting with the hospital staff because they would want to do work, and I would be like, no, I have my game going on. And back then there was no save feature. So it was like I had to finish my game.
What game was it?
It started with Microman. I remember that's the first game I played.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was like this
I had
puzzle
somewhat-
strategy game. And that's why there was no save feature. I just had to get it done. I had to win.
We have a lot of parallels already again, because I started playing video games. My dad was in like nothing as cool as a hospital. He was in like kind of a crappy Christian metal band like back in the day, and he'd go to the recording studio.
That's cool.
Like record, and he'd take me with him, and they had a computer there where they would just be like, we got stuff to do, go over here. And I would just go sit there for hours playing. For me, it was Wolfenstein 3D at the time.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing. I would just go to work with my dad and play games.
Yeah, and that's really how I started. And eventually my parents had to buy me a console just because I was hogging so much of the hospital computer time that they needed to get me away. So that's when I actually started playing video games, because I spent so much time at home then playing video games. And it went from console games to PC games. And I actually come from a family of doctors. There's 26 doctors in my family.
Wow.
So
my God.
it's like aunts, uncles, cousins, their spouses, everyone that like pretty much everyone in the family is a doctor. So for me, I honestly didn't think of any other career path except for medicine. Everything else I did was a hobby. So I was like that kind of, I would say almost entrepreneur kid, because I would always be doing some kind of project that made me money. I would like, there were kids that would do a lemonade stand. I would have like my own library because I would love reading. So I would like every Sunday put out all the books out and let people rent it out for a day just so I could make an extra buck and have some extra money over the summer.
Yeah.
And then after video games, then it all turned into just making video game money, because I would buy and sell accounts, and I would boost accounts, and I would like do like whatever I could just to get my hand on money. And I would play like a lot of MMORPGs then. So I would do like gold trading, and I would just sell items and make so much money. There was a point where my parents thought I was selling drugs because I had access to so much money. I know my mom sat me down one day and she looked really serious, and she looked me in the face. She was like, are you selling drugs? Where's all this money coming from? Like, she found this fat wad of cash in my cupboard. And I was like, no, it's from video games. And she was like, is that what the kids are calling it these days? Like, I need to know what you're doing. So
How old were you when you were doing that?
I was like 14
Oh my
years
God.
old. Yeah.
So
But
what
I
was
said,
it? Was
like,
it World
even
of
selling
Warcraft?
Pokemon cards, and I would just like turn all that money into digital items, play Ragnarok online, and just make high-level characters and then sell items.
Yeah. What were the big MMOs that you liked playing back then?
Oh, wow. So I would say one that I spent a lot of time was Ragnarok Online. That was pretty popular in Asia. And after that, of course, World of Warcraft. I think WoW and a lot of private servers. Like so much so I even made my own World of Warcraft private server where I was the GM and then worked at a few private servers as well. Again, made sure I made some dough on the side playing video games. So like I made sure whatever time I invested in video games, I made money at the end of it.
Yeah. Is that kind of why you wanted to be a founder of an org? Because that's not a story we hear every day. Doctor going into to be the founder of an org.
Yeah, so honestly, like that was never the intent. I had never thought I would. I always knew, like in school, when someone would ask me what I want to do, I said, I don't know, just something in video games. It was never like esports wasn't it, and having my own esports org was not on the table. Just probably like become a game designer, game programmer, or do something in the gaming space. But I found that part of it too boring. And I was like, this is not as exciting. So I'm just going to go do what everyone assumes I'm going to do and just go through med school. And while I was in med school, like just a little before med school, we spent a lot of time and we made our own Ragnarok server. So we launched our own MMORPG. And on the launch day, the server crashed because so many people were trying to connect. For like 18 months straight, we were the number one MMORPG, like the open source MMORPG on all the ranked websites. We were doing like anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And this was like before my 16th birthday. Wow. So I was like, oh, wow, there's like money to be made here. I'm just messing around. I'm having fun. This is cool. And while all of this was happening, I got into med school and I started with med school. So I was like, in the day, I would be in the hospital. At night, I was on the server. I was like scripting and I was learning programming and I was doing my Ragnarok server. And there just came a point that I was spending more time on the computer than in the hospital. And that's when I knew like I wanted to do something in the tech space, not necessarily video games, because by then I was also like doing freelance web designing. I was doing iOS and Android app dev. I was handling websites for clients in Florida and Europe and all across the world, and they were paying me good money just to do the freelance web work for them. And so all of this was while I was in med school. That's when I knew. When I got done with med school, I was like, okay, I'm a doctor, I have my degree, but I want to do something in the tech space. So I packed my bags, moved to San Francisco. I was staying at this place called the Hacker House, which was just a collection of people like me that have moved from all over the world trying to become the next Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. So that was a really cool experience, a humbling experience, but really cool living out in San Francisco and just experiencing the startup life. I got to see the Twitch offices in early 2014 and just be part of something really cool, and also got introduced to a lot of crypto back then, because the summer that I was at the Hacker House, Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum, was also couch surfing and he stayed at the Hacker House as well. So I got to understand cryptocurrency and see a lot of things early on. So it was like gaming, crypto, all of this was happening while I was doing medicine. So I was just like, okay, I need to take a pause on med school and look at all of this other stuff that's happening. And slowly that transformed into me being in the tech space. I moved to Los Angeles with a few friends and started my own social media company. And then I exited that venture and then went to Stanford Graduate School of Business to get like some formal business education. Because I was like, all I have is a medical degree. I don't know how to do a lot of the shit that I'm doing. I'm having to figure this out. And then in 2017, when I got done with Stanford, I was like, okay, I have a medical degree. I've exited a tech startup. I've been doing stuff in the gaming scene for a while, and I'm just done with Stanford. Like, what can I possibly do? And while I was exploring all these options, I saw TI, the 2017 TI pop up, and the prize money was like $25 million. Yeah. And I remember I called up my co-founder Mohit, and we've been best friends since like we were 5 years old. And I was like, dude, we used to play Dota for $500 prize money. They're playing it now for 25 million. Like, maybe there's something here. Let's look at esports. And that's really how Global Esports was born. And that's when crazy. In 2017, and that's when we started taking this seriously. I was playing Overwatch professionally at the time. Like, I was playing with the tier 2 team in India, and just doing it on the side while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. And that's how Global Esports was born.
Even as you tell your story, I mean, a lot of Asians can relate to this, but growing up, my mom's like, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, you got to do this. I couldn't even imagine telling her that if I was a doctor, that I'm going to go do stuff in gaming. Like she might have a heart attack and die on the spot. Like, I couldn't even imagine. What were your parents' reaction to that?
So fortunately, my parents have been extremely supportive from the start. In fact, they've been the one that have always got me my PC upgrades and got me new video
That's
games. And wherever my dad would travel a lot for his medical conferences. So every time he would travel, he would come back with like a new video game for me. So I had like months of content to play. So, they've been really supportive. And they always said, even before I got into med school, they asked me, like, what do you really want to do? But at that point, I was just like, I was selling digital goods online and making a couple of thousand playing video games. So it was fun. I never thought it would be a serious career because I was always like, okay, I'm going to do medicine. I'm going to become a robotic surgeon. I'm going to take over my parents' chain of hospitals. And this is the life I have. Like, I never thought of anything else
Yeah.
until it actually started happening so organically that I was like, oh, wait, here's the startup I've been looking for.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's awesome. How did you decide? Was it Dota then was what you started in when you formed the org, or how did you
Yeah,
decide?
so
'Cause you're in a few different
Dota was
teams.
the watch party that we did. That was the first watch party that we did, and we got like Red Bull to sponsor part of it. We had Twitch as one of the partners, and that's actually the story of these glasses. This is the reason I wear these glasses on stream. This is the merch that we got from the original watch party the day Global Esports started, and they
Oh,
had
that's
Twitch
awesome.
branding on them. I actually had to scrape them off because there was a competing streaming brand that we were working with for a year, and they didn't let me. They said you can't have Twitch branding on all our streams. We're literally the competitor. So I
Yeah.
took a coin and scraped off the Twitch logo, but I still wear them on every stream ever since.
You could use like black tape. How they always do that, as if it's so subtle in like TV shows or movies or whatever. They'll put like black tape. Like, we know what that says.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be like a Nike swoosh, but they'll put black tape over the Nike part, and they'll
So
be like,
they
"No
actually
one will
did
know."
that. There are some podcasts of me because I'm wearing like a Twitch t-shirt in protest because I have these glasses, but I'm wearing a Twitch t-shirt. So they blurred out my t-shirt, but you can still see Twitch over there.
Yeah. What is it like? Like, how did you even start an org, and how do you even do that? Because out of all my time in gaming, I don't think I ever thought, man, I want to start an org.
Still young.
Yeah.
You can start now. Like if you have like a million lying around that you just don't love, sure.
Yeah.
Esports
to
is for
sell-
you.
I'd have to sell a lot of digital goods
Yeah.
to start an
Or
org.
whatever these video games
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
are calling it these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, the goal was never to start an org. When we started, it was literally that one day, one event for a watch party for Dota 2, the international, because I was going to watch it with all my friends anyway. So we started calling up people, and then from 5 friends, it became 10 friends to became 20. And then there was a WhatsApp group, and then people kept getting added. And suddenly there were almost like 50 people that wanted to watch this Dota 2 match with us. And I was like, there's no way I'm hosting 50 people at my house. Like, that's just something I'm not prepared to do. Like, 10 people is okay. 50 is just way too many. So we started looking for a location, and we found a bar nearby, and we asked them, hey, do you mind if we take over your space for like 12 hours and just watch our own thing? And they first they were apprehensive, and then we explained what we were going to do, and then Red Bull came on board as a sponsor, and suddenly we had an event. So because I had a programming background, overnight I just put together a website, had like a QR code for payment, and we sold out like that day itself. All this happened on a Wednesday, and the watch party was like Saturday night.
Wow.
So by like Thursday we were sold out, and suddenly we had an event, and we were like, oh cool, like the watch party went great, we had fun, we went back home. And then Monday, I start getting texts and emails from people that missed out and said, hey, are you guys going to be doing this for the CS Major? Are you guys going to be doing this for the Overwatch World Cup? Like BlizzCon? What's the next event? When can we come? We had sponsors that started reaching out and said, hey, this was too short notice for us, but we loved what you guys did on social media. We saw the watch party. When's the next one? And I looked at both and I was like, dude, maybe there's an opportunity here. Let's do more of these. So we just started hosting watch parties for various tournaments. And they were like small, isolated events over the weekend. And that's what introduced us back into the esports ecosystem in India.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was playing Overwatch at the time. And I was one of the only top 500 ranked Overwatch players on the Asia servers in India. So a team reached out to me and they needed a substitute player. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll play. I mean, I haven't played competitively in a while. I think the last LAN tournament I played was 2001. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll play. And I played in that tournament and we came second. And they were like, dude,
Wow.
like you have the spot. You're no longer a substitute. Let's just play more tournaments. So we played a bunch of more tournaments, and then the team had to disband because the cafe that was sponsoring them was shutting down. They could no longer afford to pay the team. So the team told me that they were going to disband and disperse. So I asked them, I was like, well, how much was the cafe even paying? Like, what does it cost to run this team? And they were like, oh, it's like about $500 a piece. I was like, okay, we're doing these events under the branding of Global Esports. Maybe you guys just call your Overwatch team Global Esports and we'll pay the $500 a month.
Yeah.
And that's how we sponsored the team. And then I was like, wait, guys, if I'm going to sponsor the team, it's going to be awkward. I don't want to be your teammate. So maybe find another player because it's going to be weird. Like, I don't want to play on a team that I'm paying for.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was fun. I played a few tournaments. I felt young again, but this is not something I want to do as a career. Like I look at myself as a serial entrepreneur. I want to build businesses. I want to build a brand. There's so much more I want to do. Like playing is not. I had my time. Like my time was 20 years ago. So playing is just not for me. I would rather enable the next generation and everything that I wish I had when I was 16, but that ecosystem just didn't exist. I want to build that so that we can empower the next generation. And like I said, I've always found a way to make money through video games. So just want to continue doing that. And Global Esports is the brand that kind of became that umbrella. And under that, we built out like G Studios. And then we had a lot of studio work that we were doing. We hosted a lot of broadcast and production. And, some of the largest events that came out of India were produced by our team in-house. And people don't even know it because we did it as a white label event. Like, one of the streams had 1.2 million live concurrent watching. Like that's insane, and all of that happened from our studio in COVID, and no one even knows that we like Global Esports did it, because for everyone else, Global Esports is just an esports team, and we've intentionally kept it that way because all our studio work, everything else we do at the back end, that's the work that the founding team, all of us do as a business, and that pays for the teams and keeps the lights on, because the teams, they don't make money and they can't pay for themselves.
Yeah. That reminds me, I'm going to read the tweet because I don't want to butcher it. But you had posted, you probably already know what I'm talking about on Twitter.
Oh, wow. I should post a lot on Twitter, so excuse me.
No. Turning your passion into a profession and turning your passion into a business are not the same thing, and people need to learn the difference. Don't start a company out of passion. I think that's really, really great advice as someone else who like had a startup, raised a bunch of money, and like now mentor other startups and stuff like this. It does seem like kind of prototypical bad advice where people kind of ignore. Well, I'll ask you what you meant by that, where they ignore like the money is not forever. Like you have to build a business, not just something else. But yeah, would love to hear your explanation of what feels like very sage advice.
So I mean, that honestly comes from, I would say now I feel almost old, but now it's been almost a decade of experience in the ecosystem, having dealt with different orgs and brands. At this point, like there was honestly a point where I, like almost every other esports org, have asked myself, like, what's the point? Like, why are we even doing this? Like, is there even a point of having an esports team? And at that point, I wanted to do a little soul searching. So I literally went out that entire year while I was working on everything GE. I just traveled the world and went and met every other esports org team owner and went to every boot camp and was just trying to understand what every other org is doing, how they're doing it, where they make their money. And one of the consensus that I came to is, first of all, no one has any idea what the F they're doing. Like, it doesn't matter whether they're a brand valued at hundreds of millions of dollars or there's some kids just out of their basement figuring it out. I think everyone, of course, there's people who've had more experiences, they've made mistakes and they've learned and they have enough, they've seen enough and they know enough. But that doesn't mean they have it figured out. Like everyone is still experimenting, and I think esports as an ecosystem is still so raw because all esports teams know how to spend like sports teams, but they don't know how to make money like sports teams.
Yeah.
Like there is no broadcasting rights. That just doesn't exist in the esports world. So then everyone gravitates towards content creation. And then suddenly every esports team is a marketing agency for creators, and that has nothing to do with playing and winning tournaments.
No, it's very hard. I mean, I think that's and as you know, over the years has been a very heated discussion over like, there's clearly something here. People are watching esports. teams are necessary, all of these things, but how in the world do they make money in the 2019, 2018? It was all of that stuff started happening. You saw traditional sports teams were buying and starting esports teams, right? There was this, I remember going to so many talks, and it was always like, this is what traditional sports are doing, and here's what and our league's going to be like this, and we're bringing in, these teams are bringing in folks from sports medicine and nutrition. We're going to care. They brought all the stuff from traditional sports, and like they brought everything.
Inflated the market a lot. They paid a lot of money to a lot of people.
Yeah.
For a
they
short
brought
time.
over everything except revenue.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why I said, like, every esports team knows how to spend money like a sports team. Like, they can do, a lot of them can pay for great content. They can get like amazing collabs done. They can like do really cool and amazing stuff, except make money like the sports teams do.
Yeah.
What do you think what's your view on kind of what the answer is? Like, how do teams then continue to survive? Like, what needs to change in kind of the ecosystem so that, maybe it doesn't have to be where you have to do a bunch of white label work. You have to have a separate business basically to just light money on fire for the other arm of the business.
Pretty much. I think that's already happening. Like, there's essentially two kinds of people that own esports teams right now. One that have an enormous amount of money just backing them, and they don't care about making revenue. So when you have 20 million in the account, it doesn't matter if you're losing 1 or 2 million a year on building a brand, because at that point they're just looking to build something that they can potentially sell for a lot more. So, or find another way to make revenue. So at that point, it's irrelevant to them. And the other kind are those that have raised money from VCs and have someone literally breathing down their neck, telling them, hey, I've put in 10, 20, 50, $100 million. I need a 7x or 10x return. When do I get it and how? Because I don't see you guys making money. I don't see you guys making
and that was
the revenue.
2021, and now it's 2025.
Exactly.
Where's my money?
Exactly. It's been a few years, Facebook has grown X amount. Apple has grown Y amount. Spotify, see the stock market. If I had put it in Amazon, maybe I would have made more money, So it's all these investors asking these questions that the esports orgs just don't have the answers to. Because when it came time to raise money, a lot of them gravitated towards it. And now, like, we were literally on a call a few hours ago, and it seems like it's come down to everyone has to either run to Saudi for money or Russian betting apps for money. And there's no other place that's left for money unless you already have it.
Yeah.
So all esports orgs are just at that point where they're like, should we just take that money and move on? Because there's no one else willing to pay us money for this. Even brands are just like, they're looking away from where a brand used to spend 6 figures on an esports org sponsorship. They just don't care right now because they said they can spend the same amount on an influencer and get better outcome.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing some salaries for even VALORANT players, and I was like thinking, is that a typo? Like, how is this sustainable at all, even at like a basic economical level? Yeah. So
it's not.
I guess, are you having a really difficult time with that, like keeping up with market rates and things like that to find players? Because it's extremely difficult, right? Obviously, you want the best player that you can get, but that player costs a ton of money, right?
So I guess in that sense, North America is the highest salaried out of all the regions. We've been fortunate that the cost of living in Pacific is not as expensive. So we can have, a lot lesser kind of compensation to what is required in North America. And I also think the numbers there are extremely inflated. But yeah, to answer that, I think every sports team has to go through with this as well. There's always going to be someone that comes in with a bigger bag, and you're just going to have to find a way to make sure that your value proposition is more than that. It could be a better boot camp. It could be a better content team. It could be a better team environment. It could be, or a better facility or whatever. You have to try to find things that money can't buy, because at some point there will always be someone that can have a better deal or better offer than you. Like, if not, even if someone comes in and throws a big bag, at some point there'll be someone above them that's going to come in a year or two willing to throw a bigger bag. So that's something that's always going to be there. So we have to build our own value props besides just what money can't cover.
Yeah. I have a question about your recruitment process. So
sure.
You've played professional or semi-professional Overwatch. While you were making this VALORANT team, how involved were you in the process of that and selecting players?
Oh wow. I would say our first season of VCT, I was extremely involved. I was like talking to all the players. I was in their DMs on Twitter. I was like sitting with the coaches on calls all the time. Well, like connected to
Yeah.
Discord 24/7.
Yeah.
And I would say like I was extremely active. And then season two, I decided that I'll take a complete step back, hired an entire team. I was like, you know what? Let the professionals handle this. And you guys do your job. I'm going to focus on doing everything else because I need to get the company set up. We need to incorporate in South Korea. I need to do the bank work. I have like CEO duties to do. So I'm not going to work on scouting and talking to the players. You guys figure it out. And we didn't have a pretty good result. So the entire team told me, you need to come back in. So this season, I'm back in again. And again, I'm in the players' DMs and I'm actively involved again this season. So it's been on and off. It's been wax on, wax off. That's why I said I was
Yeah.
just in
Yeah.
Seoul a couple of weeks ago. So I try to be as involved as possible, just so
Yep.
me being
Would-
around opens doors and opportunities that my team would otherwise struggle with, as opposed to, hey, here's what I think you should do. It's more about you guys are the experts. You understand the game more than me. But if you need me to talk to this player or get in touch with this agent or work out a deal to do a buyout or trade with this org, I can pick up the phone and make that happen before you can even try to Google who his agent is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could just like make it faster.
Yeah, take out all of the obstacles and stuff like that so they can focus more so just on playing
Exactly.
really well.
Exactly.
Do you think your presence there makes them play harder, or do you think it's a more collaborative environment? Because we've talked about this.
Uh-huh.
When you're working remote, you don't get to see people every day. You don't get to see how they're feeling. Do you find that helps or doesn't?
No, I think for sure being there in person makes a big difference. Like since the start, we have made sure, especially for us, because our headquarters is in Mumbai and just getting a visa for Korea has been hard. So the management has been like almost cycling out. So different people have been going every alternate month so they can spend time in South Korea. And just we've been taking turns because one person can't be there the entire time just because of the way visas work for an Indian passport. So that just logistically and operationally, that's been hard for us. But definitely we've seen that having someone over there in person that understands the company culture, that has been part of Global Esports for the last 7, 8, 9 years, that has been there from the start, that does make a big difference. Otherwise, it's almost like the wild, wild west. You're just relying on the people that you newly hire to build that culture. And while they will build a culture and it may not necessarily be right or wrong, it won't be what we've been doing all these years at GE. So that's why someone from our team and core has to be there just to almost GEify it, because there's no right or wrong answer, but we've been doing it a certain way for all these years and we'd like to continue that. So definitely it makes a difference us being there.
And it's always so hard to change a culture that's already solidified then. Like once it's
Exactly.
there, it's hard to go back and make changes.
Yep.
It's easier to do it from the beginning and set it than correct a culture,
Exactly.
for sure. In terms of, you mentioned, your kind of journey is super interesting, from, starting a social media company, exiting that, and then interestingly going to Stanford to business school and kind of learning that. And you had mentioned, earlier, reverting, you used to say CEO and founder, and now founder and CEO, because there's always so
Yes.
much to learn. What were some of those early learnings, maybe from the, doing it as a social media company, and then kind of the academic version of that, and then going back to where the rubber meets the road and starting again? What were kind of the differences between, doing it, the social media stuff, and then the academic aspect of business?
Wow, that's a great question, by the way. Thank you for that. I think one important aspect that I've seen in esports, especially compared to tech, is that there's no clearly defined product. Like esports has a lot of viewership, but there's no clear product. Like everyone has this marketing vehicle that they don't know where to point. So they either point it at a sponsor, or they end up starting their own merch line, or they have some product that they develop in-house that they're trying to sell just to make money. Like when you go in with a tech company, like when we had the social media app, I knew exactly what to sell. I knew which features that I was focusing on. Plus, all my customers, or almost all my customers, were adults. While here, the kids that we have to deal with are toxic. They're like hard to deal with. They're kids at the end of the day. And then on the player spectrum, there's like there's these 18, 20-year-old kids you have to deal with like massive egos because they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars at such a young age, and they want to be treated like royalty. So it's just such a variety of things. Like, you have to deal with none of that when doing a tech company or doing a social media app, because you have like a product, you have a mature audience. A lot of times the audience is willing to pay money upfront for your service.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have clear metrics and it to scale. While in esports, it's a lot about what skills and abilities you have, what you can leverage that your team can build and do, and what you know and how creative you can be. Like, it's almost limited to what you can imagine. Like, Team Liquid started Liquipedia, and that became a lot of what they do. Like, each team, like when I spoke to the team at Loud, a lot of what they did came from their agency managing all the creators. They have like 25 million subscribers with the creators that they manage, and their agency made so much revenue that commission paid for their esports teams. So it's like everyone has a different model that they leverage. Like, we leverage a studio because my co-founders are amazing at broadcast and content, and me having the business background that I did could kind of put this in a way that we could sell and have everything under this umbrella that paid for our esports team. So it's been different for every esports org. I think it's on the ability of the people that are running the org. So it's no one size fits all. I think that's also been why it's been so hard to teach esports, because esports by itself is just marketing. If you can do great marketing, you can do great esports. What you choose to point that marketing towards is where you make money. It could be a restaurant, it could be a product, it could be anything, as long as it's something.
How important is that marketing factor to you when you bring on a player for a team? Is that something you think about at all, or are you mainly looking at skill?
I would say it's a bit of both, because the player doesn't need to have a large fan following when we bring them, but we do need to know that that player is going to be marketable. Because he could be the best player in the world, but if he refuses to do interviews, if he refuses to stream, and if he refuses to be part of any content, then there's no way for us to monetize him or for that player to grow and become a personality. Like, we need the player, like every sports personality does. We need them to be an on-screen personality and an off-screen personality. They need to be able to do so. They don't necessarily have to have a fan following. Like with SK Rossi, when he came on board to Global Esports, he had only 2,000 followers across all the socials. And now he's one of the most recognized Indian Valorant players in the world, just because of all the content that we built around him, all the hard work that he put in. You know, he was regular with his streaming. He made sure when there was a content piece, even if he didn't want to do it, against his advice, like we would fight him and then we would make it happen. And then that would get hundreds of thousands of views, and he would like get millions of views on his channel. And he was just so happy at the end of the day because he got reach and everyone recognized and saw his talent. So it doesn't have to be someone that already has the fan following, but someone that's coachable and has the potential to do it is great. But skill is more important for sure, because having a great fan following is useless if you're not going to perform on stage, because you won't get enough screen time.
Yeah. When
so
you
the
were
inverse
looking
won't
for
be
those
true.
Players, when you were looking for those players, like, how did you know that this was the guy when you were recruiting?
Oh wow.
You said like he didn't have a lot of followers, but you must have had some interactions with him that made you think, yeah, this is the guy, right?
So I would say it's not with us. It's not been one set formula. We've been almost like experimenting and doing permutations and combinations. Like we were just discussing the other day, in the last 8 years of G's existence, we have signed more than 200 player contracts. So we've gone through such an iteration of players across titles, whether it's Overwatch, Fortnite, Counter-Strike, Dota. So even with SK Rossi, it's not like we had this set of 10 things that we were looking for in a player and we found SK Rossi and, you know, he became an instant hit. Before him, there were a lot of players. After him, there were a lot of players. There's just one SK Rossi. So it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of permutations and combinations that we work with. Now, learning and knowing everything that we know, we have certain things and certain signs that we know are more telling than others. So now that we've done more than 200 players, now we have an idea. When we talk to players, when we interview them, we even the kind of questions that we ask are kind of molded by experience and, you know, kind of seeing everything we've seen and done everything we have in the past, especially with content. So now I would say we're a lot better at dealing with it now. But back then, it was just a lot of trial and error. But be like, let's take this player on. Let's see in content. If he's great, great. If he's awkward, we're going to try someone else. It was that as simple as that.
Well, what are some of those things specifically? Because we've had coaches on here and we were talking about the offseason in Valorant and how they were approaching recruiting, but that's at a coach level, right? So what does it look like at a CEO level?
Wow. I would say the first thing, the absolute must is that the player needs to love the game. Like, I think if the player doesn't love the game, if they treat it like a job, they're going to come in, clock their hours, play their scrims, and
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, first, they
Yeah.
need to absolutely love the game. Like, I want them to be talking about Valorant outside of the game. I need them to be watching matches of all the other regions. I need them, like, when we tell them to take a day off, I want them to be on their phone checking the scores of what's happening. Like, that's how much I want them to love the game.
Yeah.
And secondly, like, just loving it isn't enough. You need to actually play it. Like, spend enough time in the server, play ranked matches,
Right.
play scrims, duo with
Yeah.
your friends, have like
Yeah.
a dozen Smurf accounts that you're playing on with different ranks with your friends. Like, just go in there and have fun. Like, I
Yeah.
want those kind of players. And then comes the hunger to win. Like, after you have all of this, make sure that the player really wants to win. Because if
Yeah.
they don't want to win, they want, even if they do everything else, like, we've seen a lot of players that have been in the top 10 ranks consistently, but just don't have the hunger to win. They're happy playing the games that they do, getting the opportunity, being on stage. Like, that hunger to win isn't there. So I would say the hunger to win comes like, and then everything technical. Like,
Yeah.
everything else comes later. Like, the coaches know what they're looking for when they're looking for mechanical aim, whether this person can play in a team, how they gel along with the rest of the players. Like, there's so many things that, I think everyone has their own checklist of things now. But I would say for me, those are the top things that I look for.
Yeah.
Why do you think the careers of pro players are so short, especially compared to other traditional sports, right? Like the length of time that they're at peak and that they're playing professionally is so much shorter. Why do you think that is? What contributes to that?
I would say a few things. One of them definitely being burnout, because these kids spend so much time of their youth in front of a screen and getting massive amounts of money to play video games and a lot of fandom, and they have to deal with a lot of things that I would say, like, young rock stars would have to deal with, or younger musicians or sports athletes, and they have to deal with a lot of things mentally, physically, personally in their own lives. Many of them have to give up school or lives to have a normal teenage life, or in their 20s. So I think just growing up that way is hard, which is the same thing, like the reason why rock stars and sports athlete, like, not a traditional sports athlete, but I would say a rock star or a musician has a shorter just span, where they crash out faster because they get access to money at a younger age. They're irresponsible with it, they don't know what to do with it. I would say that has a lot more to do with it than reaction time or all the other things that everyone else has. I think we've seen enough players at 35, even 38. I think recently there was a clip going viral of this 69-year-old dude, Asian guy, who was clutching around.
Player.
Exactly, a Taiwanese player.
Valorant,
Especially, Valorant, saying that if he can clutch around, there's no excuse for my teammate not to. So I was like, everyone's been sharing that, and I was like, I absolutely agree. Like, I of course think reaction time and age has a certain play, especially because your ability to make decisions has to be, like, quick. We were talking about it the other day. Like, a coach can, or an analyst or assistant coach can tell a player as much, but their ability to make split-second decisions and not just think about it but act upon it has to be uncanny. Like, your response time has to be godly. Like, that, of course, set aside. But I don't think 30 or 35 is too old to do that. Of course, an 18-year-old will be fast, but I think you can outsmart them as you grow older and get smarter, which is why I see a lot of players do having a strategic response over to raw mechanical aim, and that's getting more common. But I would say crashing out because of just access to money and fame early on, and not having the right mentorship or not seeing the right examples above you is more prevalent. Like, if you look at League of Legends, Faker has been there for 12 years. I think he has an amazing career. He doesn't look like he's going to step down anytime soon. Like, that's someone that people need to look up to. Like, he's had a long career, and he's still one of the most legendary and epic players in esports. He's built an empire. Like, when I went to Seoul, I saw Faker Tower, and I was like, dude, this esports kid owns this building. It's worth millions of dollars, and it's a commercial building that he rents out, and he gets passive rental revenue out of it, which probably makes him more money than his esports contract.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
didn't
crazy.
even know he had a tower.
I mean,
Well, that's pretty cool, Jimmy Tower.
Jimmy Tower.
I don't need a tower.
I'd be down to come and play video games at Jimmy Tower.
What you said is actually like super important that I think folks don't always realize is like when we talk about like reaction time and what is reaction time. And I think everybody thinks about the mechanical skill, like how just quickly you can press a button or click on something, right? But when you're doing that in a game, it's not just the kind of perceptual experience of like click this or click that. You're trying to integrate all this other information of what just happened, what could happen, what is happening now. And you have to integrate all of that together to react in some certain amount of time. And as you play longer, while maybe some of the raw mechanical aspect declines over age at some point, I mean, it's not like it drops off unless you get as old as me, but like the experience and all the other stuff of being able to integrate that information and make decisions quicker. My guess is if like there was a way to measure that over time, those things probably compensate for themselves. Exactly like you're saying, that like you can be in your mid late 30s and the equivalent of someone that's really early with more fast mechanical response time.
Absolutely. I think we're getting to that stage where in the next few years, because of access to all the tools and just better examples and mentors that the kids today will have seen, that esports careers are going to be lasting 15, 20 years. I think we're getting there. Like, give it a few more years. They won't be like 3 to 5 years crash and burn. You'll still have the one-off players that do that, but more and more players will learn from other people's experiences and be like, hey, I don't want to do that, or that's what this player did and let's not do that and let's be smarter. Like, they won't go splurge all their money on new shoes and new gadgets. When they'll start getting smarter about saving their money, so when they don't have a job, they don't suddenly have to leave esports and go do something else. They'll start saving and try to look at other options for passive income, or just get smarter and learn from other people's mistakes, because life's too short to make all mistakes themselves. So they'll have to start learning from people that come before them.
I love that. Life's too short to make all the mistakes yourself. It's very, very, very true. I want that on a shirt.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That would sell.
Sometimes I feel like I'm speed running, trying to make all mistakes, but I'll outsource some of that to learn from others.
Well, that's what they say. Accelerated learning. Crash hard, burn fast, make a lot of mistakes. You learn faster and go further.
Yeah.
What's next for Global Esports now?
Oh, wow.
What's on the roadmap?
This is something. Yeah, this is something we've asked ourselves a lot, and I think every year that Global Esports has existed in the last 8 years, we've had to do some sort of pivot and find a new way to generate revenue and, kind of focus on something different. The last few years, we have focused a lot on the studio aspect of things, doing content and broadcast and production. And we even did a lot of white label events for production houses. We did it for like publishers. We did it for other esports orgs as well. So that was really cool. And I think this year and the next at least 18 months, what we've realized is everything we've learned the last decade in esports, we're going to start applying to us. So we're going to be doing a lot more in-house IPs. We're going to be experimenting with a lot more members-only paid content. We're going to be doing a lot more individual merch drops, kind of like this one that's available on gefighting.com. So we're going to keep experimenting.
We'll put it.
You can hashtag ad
here.
So we're going to be experimenting and doing a lot more in-house stuff. We're going to be breaking and doing a lot of stuff that may or may not work, but 18 months from now, I think we'll be in a much better position with a lot more followers and subscribers, with a lot more products that we're able to offer our fans, and with a lot more fans at the end of it.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Do you think it feels like going back to kind of esports as an industry, there's a lot of pain. There has been a lot of pain over the last 12, 18 months. I mean, really post 2022. Do you think we're going to see much more pain over the next 12 to 18 months? Or do you think that we're kind of, even having done this the last 10 years, it seems like it's almost like a sine wave consistently. You get these cycles where it's like esports is the coolest thing, and then it's not, at least to investors and to the money and advertisers rolling into the ecosystem. It just goes like this. Do you think we've bottomed out and we're returning up, or do you think we're still in a trough?
I think, as you rightly said, this is going to happen cyclically, and we're going to see it happen. There's always going to be someone that comes in with new money. Like there was a few years ago, it was the streaming platforms. Before that, it was the big brands. It was the investors. There was one golden era of esports where every VC came in and threw money at esports. Now there's money coming in from Saudi and the Russian betting brands. So there's always going to be almost someone that's willing to put in money as long as esports keeps the attention. I think for us personally, we're at that stage where the next 18 months, like a lot of other esports orgs, we're going to figure it out. It's almost at that stage, like literally this used to be my parents' garage that I've converted into the studio. This is where Global Esports started, and just a couple of months ago I got it renovated, and that's why this is my streaming studio. So I keep telling my founders we almost have to go back to the garage era of esports, kind of like what the FaZe boys are doing. I absolutely love it. Like the first thing that the founders did when they came back, they fired all the corporate staff, they got rid of everyone, and they're like, okay, let's get a bunch of streamers, put them in a house, and just go back to how it all started and get rid of everything that we learned from the sports and media industry. Just go back to being stupid kids playing video games, getting views, and getting paid money to do it.
That was the thing that drove me nuts about that time period, where everything was like, let's take from traditional sports and cram that into esports. Was it also, it limited all the things that are unique to esports that traditional sports doesn't have or could never have, or whatever it was. It seemed like they just tampered them down and kind of ignored them rather than leaning into them. It was like really just like, these are what these teams are doing. I won't name any names. There's so many people that were like, hey, should I invest in this team or that team? Or like, I'm invested in pro sports team X. Do you think this esports team is going to be worth, the same in 15 years? And I'm like,
is it the next big thing?
I don't think so. How fast do you need your money back? And I
don't think anyone's had like a massive exit. I'm sure there's enough people that made money because of all the investments that came into esports, but I don't think there have been any successful exit stories of people who have made an X multiple on an esports org. And that's just telling, because there's an entire industry that's potentially worth billions of dollars, and there have been zero successful stories that have come out of it. Like even the ones that we've heard of, those that were valued at hundreds of millions of dollars went crashing and burning. So it's like, if there's no successful outcome, what's everyone even doing?
It does feel like there's something there, right? The fact that everyone's still there, the viewership, all that stuff is still there. It's like, I think that's why so many of us continue, is we're like, well, there's something, there's some magic here. We need the right formula so that we can have those big exits or whatever else, so that everybody's happy. There's something there, but that's also kind of the fun, I think, is also the difficulty and the problem of figuring it out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's one thing that we keep talking about internally as a team as well. It's like, guys, just take a minute in to breathe and understand the privilege that we have, that we're able to solve problems, or we are in the position that we can be attempting to solve problems that people all over the world with billions of dollars of resources, with some of the smartest minds putting all their time and effort onto this, are still not able to solve. Like every VC that's put in money, every org that has the smartest minds working on it, all the millions of dollars that are being invested across every single esports title across the world, everyone's trying to figure it out just like us. And some people figure it out short term, some people make some money doing this, but what everyone is struggling with is having that one fixed kind of model that makes them annual recurring revenue over 5 years, 10 years, because every year they're having to re-innovate and reinvent the wheel and find a new way to make money, because the way they made money in 2022 is in the same way they make money in 2025.
Yeah. Well, what's the esports landscape like in India right now?
Oh, it's the wild, wild west. It's esports in India right now is in such a fun place. I keep joking around and telling people, like, if you had a few $1 million you could have so much fun. You could essentially monopolize the entire market and control the attention of at least 100 million people.
Wow.
Like that's the potential opportunity that we have. Like literally the
Yeah.
BGIS finals happened yesterday. The peak watching was 450K live concurrent viewers. And this was
Wow.
happening on one YouTube channel in Hindi language. It was being streamed in like 20 different languages. And these are all people that love playing games on their phone. It's not even like PC gamers. So it's crazy that that's what we're able to get to by mobile esports in India. Just the gaming ecosystem and landscape in India is crazy. I think it's such an untapped market, and the next few years, India is going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah. Are you seeing a rise in PC gaming?
Oh yeah, for sure. Those numbers just keep going up every year, and we're loving what we're seeing. And the thing which most people don't realize, like with India, it's a country with almost 1.5 billion people. Like, so even if we talk about, like, I'll give you an example, like the number of people that play PUBG Mobile in India is 400 million. Like that's more than the population of the United States of America. So when you think about it in just those terms of numbers, like it's an insane number of people. So even if it's just 1% that have the ability to pay money and convert, it's still worth more than a lot of these developed countries that don't have that many people.
Yeah.
So it's just sheer volumes.
Wow. Yeah, that's like, what do you say, 400 million out of 1.2? That's like 33%. Whatever, the entire population playing PUBG Mobile. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's crazy. Like in one of the points, the prime minister even addressed it. And he was like, I know everyone's like, especially through COVID, I know everyone's just sitting at home playing PUBG Mobile on their phones. Like, what else are you going to
do? Oh, that's hilarious.
I loved, what was it? That was one of the other things I found. I was like, whoa, video games is very different when I was growing up. It was when Overwatch was the first Overwatch, and Overwatch 2 was super popular. I think it was South Korea. There was like a politician that ran a commercial. It was like a campaign of like, it was like MVP highlights of her shutting people down. And
that was an amazing.
I think it was amazing.
Like Overwatch almost became like a religion in South Korea. Like every PC bunk, everyone was playing Overwatch. I think like it became such a cultural thing. It's unfortunate what happened with the entire esports ecosystem, but I think Overwatch like just went crazy. Everyone loved that game. It was even now when I went to the PC bunk, I saw so many people still playing Overwatch. It's crazy.
I've recently switched to Rivals, but it was tough to get me to. My kids, we were playing Overwatch 2, and they saw like an ad for Rivals somewhere. Maybe it was YouTube or something, and they were just like, "Oh, I want to be Spider-Man," and that was the end. You know
exactly.
What I mean? Like the IP alone, they were like, "Oh, and it's like Overwatch, my current favorite game right now."
Yeah,
exactly.
And they haven't played Overwatch since.
Exactly. Like I think everyone that even remotely liked Overwatch is just going to fall in love with Marvel just because of the IP, and there's just so much more that the publishers there have to do just because of the, like, even the esports teams. I keep sharing the links with my team. I was like, dude, it's so cool because we can use so much of the Marvel IP. Like they had like Captain America flying in, they had like Spider-Man coming in. I was like, dude, that's such great content. Like we're content guys, we love content. There's the opportunity to be able to use an IP that millions of people already know and understand is amazing. And it's literally Overwatch. And like I said, I started my career in Overwatch, so I by default love the game. And the fact that they literally took everything that was great about Overwatch and added all the best things about Fortnite, it's like it's a perfect marriage.
And
I think Rivals is amazing.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. I'm surprised also just how well they balance the game. I mean, they're putting out new characters like every 6 weeks or something like that, and the game is still like tremendously balanced. It blows my mind. Kudos to NetEase and the Rivals team.
And I think everyone there knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I feel a little bit bad. I still feel a little bit of guilt because I'm like, you're Overwatch for years. Yeah. Like, and again, I love the lore, I love the care, I love everything, and it still feels the gameplay is still amazing. But
it's still such a polished game. But that's the whole thing. Like I tried playing it again the other day, and when they released the classic version, and they were like, "Oh, this is what Overwatch 1, the original, how it was," and it didn't feel the same anymore. I don't know. I think maybe it's just all the Rivals that I have in me. All those hours in Rivals are just, it makes me want to. Overwatch I love the game. It's a great engine, and I have so many memories. But that's what it is. At this point now, it's just nostalgia.
Yeah. we're coming up on the hour. So any shout outs? Any last words? Any ads you want to place right now?
No, I honestly wanted to thank you guys for this. I know we've been rescheduling this a lot, and with my travel schedule and time, it's been crazy. Just everyone, just come and tune into our VCD matches and cheer for us. Stage 1 didn't go amazing, but we're hoping stage 2 we're gonna show up and do some really cool stuff. And like I said, gfighting.com, we're going to be doing a lot more content and a lot more IPs around esports. Just make sure you tune in. We're going to be experimenting a lot of stuff over the next 18 months. And
Awesome.
besides the podcast and besides everything else, I did want to say that there's one thing that I have been personally doing a lot. Like I have this little pet peeve that I have always wanted to hit 100K score in Aimlabs in the basic training before I get in. Like for me, that's my routine to practice. And I keep showing off my score to everyone else at G. I'm like, guys, there's no way you're going to beat my Aimlabs score. Like the day I can get to 100K, I'm going to go to my players and be like, guys, I can do a better job than you. It's just something I wanted to say because I do that a lot. I'm that toxic guy that tries to get a better Aimlab score than everyone else.
How close are you right now?
I think the best I've hit is 93K.
Oh, so you're coming up. It's just close enough that you'll keep trying.
It has been a while that I've tried now though. But when I was really putting time and effort into it, and I will say, spending some time doing that and then jumping into a DM and getting into game definitely makes me flick a lot better. Because coming from Overwatch, I was a Widowmaker and McCree player. And as much as I love Soldier 76 and Tracer, for me, it was all about the accuracy and getting the headshots. So I absolutely love those flick shots. Like, I made my own training drills in Overwatch because when I calibrated first, I was like a terrible silver gold player. So for me to climb up to that top 500 was like 5-6 seasons of actually spending time and effort and be like, okay, how do I get better at this game? Like, it's just spending more time playing it isn't going to be enough. So I started doing like aim drills. I started like making custom games, and I was like, I need to learn how to like get better. Like I started obsessing over it. I would like hire for these Fiverr coaches, be like, teach me this game, tell me what I can do. Like I would like go to pro players and be like, okay, what do I do? Who can make me better at this game?
I just have to say before we end it, we did not pay you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.